exciting. Let's go, VA. Okay, I'm just going to ask you to tell me about your story. Is that
Yes.
okay? Okay. So, Angela, tell me your story. Where did all of this start?
Yeah, so, I'm a survivor of childhood abuse and poverty. And when I was growing up, we lived in Section 8 housing, welfare. I've lived in cars and parks and motel rooms. And as a kid, you're very curious, right? You look at other kids and you see them with vacations and new clothes. And I'm like, why? Why don't we have them? And I think as I got older, I started to realize that this thing, money, that they had and I didn't. And I just started my mission. Like, I need to know about money. I need to know how to create it, and have a much different lifestyle than I had. So I think early on I was running away from being in poverty to something in the future. That obviously shifted for me as I got older. But that really just started my curiosity about money and how it worked.
Wow. And did you have a mentor? Like, what was the catalyst that actually got you going?
Yeah. Well, in college, I worked for Bank of America, and I connected with a couple of female financial advisors, and they would just walk in the room. They were so confident and had big smiles on their face, and I would ask them, like, why? Why do you do what you do? And they say it's to help other people create a lifestyle that, match their financial goals and their needs, and the feeling to be able to do that with people is just amazing. And I really could feel their heart when they're talking about it. And I was like, that's where I want to go. So that was my first mission, was to be a financial advisor, work with a team, and learn from them how to kind of create a financial plan for their clients and really be heart-centered and giving in that approach, instead of, sometimes the opposite occurs with men because they're very logical and they don't have that heart behind what they do. And just watching them, they were just great mentors early on.
Wow. Okay. And so now, like, what is your heart for people? What is the impact that you're here to have on the world?
Yeah. Well, the podcast that I launched last year, Empower Her Money, I wanted to be able to take all of the years that I've learned about money and teach and provide it in an easy to consume platform that was free. YouTube is free. You can have Spotify for free. And just teach and give back. What I realized, though, is that I have a great story, but it might not connect with everybody else. So how do we impact more people? We have to tell more stories. So finding other amazing women like yourself, and we all have something to teach about money, and using this platform to tell stories, to teach other people about business, about money, so that hopefully the person that's listening doesn't have to make the same mistakes, and maybe they meet their financial goals quicker because they're learning from these stories that we get to tell.
Yeah. And if I heard you right, like, teaching is powerful.
Yes.
And now you're saying, like, there's more than just teaching. You want to call people to action.
Yes.
So tell me more about that. Like, what led you to shift from just the teaching with the podcast to what you're doing now?
Yeah. I was feeling empty. It's almost like, if you remember the movie The Secret. The Secret was great about motivation, go out and get what you want, and abundance. And then you left the movie feeling like, okay, now what? And that's what I felt like I was doing. I was teaching people about money and inspiring them to make changes. And then they'd come to me and say, okay, I'm ready. Now what?
Yep.
And I didn't have anything to do. So I recently partnered with a company called Drive Planning. And it's incredible because we give opportunities for passive income. We're so busy in our lives. I don't want you to have to take more time away from your business and away from your family to create that generational wealth. So at Drive Planning, we offer 2 opportunities where our clients can come in and be what we call lenders, right? We're not an investment company. We're not securities licensed. We don't do stocks, anything like that. But we're giving you a chance to use your funds to have real estate, and now we're creating passive income for you. So you're just generating money, and it's a vehicle for you can make some pretty great returns, but now you're still going to live your life. You're still going to have your family, you're still going to have your kids that you're going to take care of, your business you're going to take care of, and you don't have to spend the time that we put in to the real estate side.
That's so good. Just because it sounds like it's so easy. So one thing I want to add or ask, because you mentioned this was your original approach too. Like, but is it too easy? Like, is it too good to be true? Tell us about that, because as an investor, I want something that's easy.
Right.
And then also sometimes it's like, wait, is this a red flag? Is this too good to be true?
Yeah, and I feel like, I came from the financial advisor world, and I think that Wall Street and a lot of financial advisors tell you 8 to 10%. That's an average return. Anything above that, they scare you, right? And so I tell people Wall Street lies because they want to keep you in the stock market. The stock market is meant to, help you in some part of your investment vehicles, but not everything. And you can watch a show like, flipping houses on TV, and you see they're doubling and tripling their money.
Yeah.
So I get that a lot from people saying it's too good to be true. And I said, no, it's too good to be common. You watch that show on TV and you see what they do with real estate, but then when I tell you that I can pay you double-digit returns, you're like, oh wait, nope, red flag, it's not possible. But it is. It's just a different vehicle that not a lot of people know about, and that's why, our mission is to really teach more people.
Yeah, definitely, which is wealth, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's the people who are doing the things that not a lot of people are doing, so that makes sense. Okay, so, well, let's talk more about finances, but first, like, how... if someone wants to get involved, what does that look like?
Yeah, so my first thing is we have a short conversation. I want to know, what are your goals, where are you at, and if this is going to be a right opportunity for you, because it's not going to be right for everybody. All investments do have some type of risk, and this one, if God forbid something happened in the world and the whole real estate market crashed, there's always going to be some type of risk with what we do. So I want to first have that conversation with you and get to know you, and then be able to answer some of your questions. So that's our first thing. We do have an application process, so we want to look to make sure, again, that you are who you say you are. We want to make sure that this is the right opportunity for you. I don't want you to put all of your life savings into one vehicle. I would never teach that. So it's just going through that process to make sure that both you and I are comfortable with this opportunity for you.
Okay, so great. And then tangibly, what do they Google? Is there a site?
So my website is morewithangela.com. Put all of our brochures there so you can do your research on your own first if you want to, even having a call with me. And then when you're ready, we can have that call. But we want to be transparent. Our CEO, Todd, is really about empowering the middle people and helping people get to that wealthy status, or whatever that status might look for them. We're not necessarily targeting, the wealthiest of people, because we're taking the vehicle that they use and bringing it to the masses.
Yes.
And that's more important for us, to build generational wealth for more people, and being able to have that opportunity available, and teaching people that there are other things outside of the stock market.
Yeah. Okay, so good. I have a couple questions, but one more tangible thing. You mentioned something really interesting, that with this you can lend against, like life insurance. So maybe if you want to speak to who this is a good fit for, because there's some like really cool and different things that are possible with this one.
So our minimum investment is $20,000. So if you only have $5,000 and that's your whole life savings, we can still have conversations, and I can help teach you other ways to get to that point. But you mentioned life insurance, and without getting too deep into that, life insurance is a great vehicle that you can put money into. And what's great about life insurance is that when you do pass, that money can pass to your heirs tax-free, right? If you put money in a bank account or the stock market, when you pass, it's now taxed. So not only was it taxed going in, and now it's taxed when you pass away. We want to help you create that generational wealth by holding on to more of this money. And these are just strategies that most wealthy people are very much aware of. But I don't want to go too deep into the life insurance piece, because then I don't want to lose people either.
Definitely. But people who know it, it. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then let's go into just a couple of quick fun things, because you keep mentioning generational wealth. I love that word. What does that mean to you, and what about that is so important?
Yeah. So for me, going back generations, my grandmother left Japan with 2 daughters, single mom, lived in an apartment, and passed, nothing to her children. And then her 2 children didn't learn money either, right? So my mom, I think if she would have had better financial education, maybe my childhood would have been different. But, God had a different plan for me, because now going through what I did, I'm very empathetic to other people. And now I'm very passionate about that, right? So her not having money, her mom not having money, and now coming to me, I don't want that for my daughter. And I don't want to necessarily leave her like a big nest egg. I want to teach her what to do with the money that I've learned. And when you can stop that cycle for people, I just think that's so powerful. Like, that's where my passion is. No matter where you came from, no matter how old you are, where you're at right now, you can always change that path. And you just need help to get there. And it really comes down to the education that so many people are missing, because we don't get taught this anywhere else. You have to seek it out in order for your life to change.
That's so cool. And okay, so you've been teaching for a long time. I know that there's a lot of layers to it, but maybe what are the key things? Because even the key teachings maybe requires the mindset and things to implement, but like this education that you're speaking of, where does someone get started? What's the first teaching they need to know?
Yeah, it really depends on where you're at. If you're just starting on this journey, the first thing you need to figure out is what your financial house looks like. So if you can visualize a house, the most important part of it is the foundation. And for me, the foundation is knowing what is your income, what are your expenses, how much money can you actually invest, and feel comfortable and still pay your bills at the end of the day. So that's the first step. I used to teach Dave Ramsey, and he has an incredible program for you to start on that journey if you need help on that foundational piece of it, right? So that's a good starting point. And then once you have enough money to do investing, you have to pick a lane. Like there's so many options out there, and I think it becomes overwhelming, confusing, and then people don't take action because they're so confused. Figure out what is it that you're interested in learning more about, and then find some people, on YouTube and podcast, learn more about that lane first. And then when you're ready, find the right mentor. And that's huge. And ask questions. If someone comes to me, I'm very transparent. If you want to know how much money I've lost over the years, what I've lost money in, what I invest in, what does my balance sheet look like, I'm going to tell you about it, because I wouldn't want to invest with someone who hasn't done what I'm teaching. That's so important for me. So even references, like I can give you references of some of the clients that I've worked with, but transparency is key. And if the person you're asking questions to doesn't want to be transparent, that's a red flag. I would move on.
Yeah. And I'm smiling because it's just funny. Anyone who has stories of making money has stories of losing money.
Yes, I have lost money. And in fact, recently, a couple of years ago, because we're in a very different real estate market, right? This is kind of why I transitioned to what I do now. But I was in a real estate deal and it didn't go very well, and I ended up losing quite a bit of money. Lesson learned, but now I know what to look for going forward.
And now you can help so many people.
Right. Teach you what I learned from that, so hopefully you don't make the same mistake.
So good. So, and then you have your book, which is beautiful right here. So next step, book a call with you. Like overall then, if someone wants to, they of course can watch and listen to the rest of the podcast, but what would be the good, again, tangible next steps?
So morewithangela.com, I have a link there. You're going to book a call directly with me and my team, and then we'll start the process there just to figure out, about you and what questions that you have. So it's just very easy for you to go to the website, morewithangela.com, and book a call directly with me.
So great. Well, on behalf of women, or like as a woman, I just want to thank you for, just putting everything that you do out there, for teaching, for educating, and for doing it in a way that's inspiring and fun and accessible. Anything else that you want to, share with the listeners, with the viewers?
Yeah, and I love that you said that, because women, we are so different in how we approach investing and how we approach money. It hasn't been that long that we've been able to have our own credit, right? And so a couple of those generations, I think, still need to pass before the memory of us not being able to have a credit card on our own, right? Or to defer all of that information to our spouses. If you're married, it's so important for you to know money, because that's one of the biggest reasons why people get divorced today, is the financial, miscommunication. And when you guys can be married and have common goals together, I think that just solidifies so much more, but you have to ask the questions first.
Yeah, that's really good. So it's not just financial impact, it's health and relationships and all the areas of life.
Absolutely. And my book, Empower Your Money, I wrote it because I just wanted to have a simple action item plan. It's not super complicated. You don't need a dictionary or anything to read it, but it's got steps in there where you can just say, hey, that's piquing curiosity, or that's something I can implement today, right? I want to make it simple so that you start on that journey, and then when you're ready for the bigger pieces of it, then we can take action there.
So great. Yeah. And again, just thank you. One of the guys who I know this CEO, this founder of a fund, and I was talking to him about how does he know what to invest in? And one of the things that he says, which I can vouch for you, is he says, I always look for the CEO. Like I invest in people, sometimes even more than concepts. And what I think is really cool about you is you're just someone, I've seen you with good character, the way you carry yourself. So it's cool. Take action, meet with Angela, and figure out some next steps.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into Empower Her Money podcast. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to subscribe, share this podcast, and leave a review wherever you are tuning in.